Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, guys. Happy Monday. We're going to have a great week of shows for you, of course. And of course, it's a big week for markets. We're going to talk about what exactly we mean by that here in just a second. But first, I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Max, Chef Jackus, and of course, Big Louie. Welcome, guys. It's a big week, right? It's a big week just to kind of set the stage a little bit here, right? We are seeing some green to open the week at the very least. Tech and the S&P opened up about 0.5%. Bitcoin and crypto seeing a little bit of green. But really, it's going to be probably a little bit difficult to get too much clarity from the market until midweek, maybe a little bit later this week. Obviously, I know how much we love to talk about it, but we do have some pretty important macro events later this week, specifically relating to interest rate decisions, right? We have FOMC, but I think more importantly, we have a Bank of Japan rates decision. As we all know, those are two events that can if for nothing else than positioning, cause big swings in the market. But before we can talk about that a little bit more in depth, you guys know the drill. I'm going to ask you to smash, slam, destroy, annihilate the like button. We're going to do our best to cook for you today. Use whatever adjective you need to justify hitting that like button for us. But as always, it really helps us grow our channel when you do. So we are very appreciative when that is the case. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about markets, right? I mean, like I said, the S&P, the Qs, they opened up about 0.5%. We've seen some green in crypto, of course, here as well. Some nice bounces across the board on certain altcoins, but really the telltale sign for this week will likely come later. We have, as I said, FOMC. We have a Bank of Japan rates decision. And they're important specifically because of that last part, right? Because they can move interest rates, and that tends to be very important for risk assets, obviously foreign currencies that we are trading and tracking, like the dollar, the yen, and of course, other risk proxies. But yeah, I think for me, that's kind of the sign or what we should be watching throughout this week, right? And obviously how that affects positioning both going into and out of these events. I mean, that's what we always say. It's not as much about the decision as much as it is about how the market is positioned going into the event and obviously how the market reacts coming out of it. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. Obviously, we do have quite a bit to discuss today. I mean, I know things like Bitcoin and ETH are more or less trading at the same prices as Friday. Same with indices. We probably won't get too much clarity until some of these macro events are over. But how are we approaching this week? How are we viewing those events? And of course, how are we viewing kind of everything together, especially the coins?
Bullish.
Well, here's the thing. I've always kind of been a proponent of like, show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. Not that the news never matters. I just think that a lot of the times you can kind of sniff it out in advance because of how the chart looks. And I think most of us that are into TA more or less align with that, right? Some of these guys are extreme where they're like, oh, the news never matters. So, I mean, sometimes it matters a little bit, right? Like things can change. But generally, I look at the chart and I say, all right, if Bitcoin is in a bull market, it pulled back from high to low about 30%, right? And typically, when Bitcoin is in a bull market, if it's in a bull market, right, which again, some people will say, crypto's in a bear market, Bitcoin's the only thing that's kind of teetering in a bull market, that's fine, right? If Bitcoin is in a bull market and it pulls back between 25 and 35%, that's typically a pretty good spot to just start buying. And by the way, the same goes for like NASDAQ mega cap tech. They pull back 15 to 25 or 30%. If they're in a bull market or they're going to continue to be in a bull market, that's a pretty big move, right? And you typically, if you had bid those moves or held through those drawdowns, typically they've yielded some pretty nice returns over the next quarter or two. So I'm looking at the chart and I'm going, without any question, we're in a downtrend. Like a monkey could tell you that, right? Somebody it's their first day trading could tell you, hey, every time frame besides like the weekly, 2-week, and monthly is in a downtrend. You got supply stacked above head on Bitcoin, altcoins. I mean, certainly, right? Let's just talk about Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go up, right? Everybody gets that. But I'm looking at it going, all right, Bitcoin kind of seems like it's in a range here. Even if we're going to continue to be in a downtrend, I do think that we're probably due for a counter trend rally at some point. I don't know if I really want to count that Sunday strategic digital asset reserve pump as like a real counter trend rally. I'm talking about like 2-week grind higher, right? I don't think that's too much to ask, even if we're going to be in a downtrend, right? And I also think that, I mean, look, even if we kind of retest the range low a little bit here, maybe we go back down to, sub 80s or something. We'll see. I think that people getting super, super aggressive to the bear side here are potential. I mean, you're certainly, even if we go a little bit lower, you're certainly coming in on like hole 13 or 14 of the trend. We've already made the turn. We're on the back 9. We got the last few holes. We'll see what the last few holes bring about, right? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe the bottom's already in. Maybe the bottom is not in. But I do think, especially with some of these altcoins, shorting altcoins that I think will come back that are down 75 or 80% in like 60 days. Well, Bitcoin pulls back 30% and stocks are down, indexes are down 10%. And certain, blue chip tech companies like Nvidia are down 30%, from high to low. I don't think you could suggest that unless we're literally entering a major recession, which I haven't seen the economic data that says that we're even close to that. I think it's probably a little bit riskier to be opening aggressively fresh shorts down here after the move has largely played out, than it is to be looking for, potentially a bounce around these levels, some relief. So maybe FOMC is that fuel, or maybe Powell comes out with a red tie on and he's like, listen, I haven't told anyone this yet, but I hate Trump and I'm going to start a recession. And he just says that, and then we nuke, right? And he goes, guess what? You were pricing in no cuts today. How about a hike, bucko? And he hiked by 50 basis points. I'm just kidding. He's not going to do any of that. But I do think, just kind of given where the market is at, it wouldn't surprise me to see a relief rally here, right? I'm not calling for new highs imminently, but a lot of things have been straight down in a straight line for about 70 days now. It's pretty atypical that things don't bounce. I mean, even in like bear market, I mean, scroll back and look at like, horrible bear markets, right? I mean, you can get these prolonged periods of, sideways price action, right? I mean, look at before things got like really nasty. I mean, you can get like a nice counter trend move. These are some big moves, right? And by the way, I'm not saying we're here. I'm just saying, like, we're due for a little something, right? We're due for something. And even if you're like, Max, like we're cooked, we're like right here, then I would say, okay, so even if we're just in a range, right? We're at the range low right now. I would like to see, range low, range high, right? I would like to see, even if you think, hey, Max, we're going to nuke here, 50K sounds really nice, then I would say, okay, we're still at the range low. Could you give me range high? And then we go lower? Max, we're going to nuke, right? Okay, well, can you give me a predatory move above the range high? Can you give me anything? It's like, how much can you just like, keep shorting and like, keep compounding when it's like, give me a move up to the range high and then send it lower. Like, there will be ranges within a downtrend if you think we're just going to keep downtrending. But I don't know. Someone pull me off the soapbox, but I don't know. I guess I'm leaning bullish going into FOMC personally. Like I just feel like we're battered and we're bruised and things are really not that bad. Like unemployment's still low, initial claims low. I mean, things are still fine generally. So that's my bias, right? I'm not expecting like a trap door on FOMC. All right, I'll keep monologuing because no one wants to. So, I mean, I generally think you guys can jump in whenever, but I genuinely think like if we're just going to play this like a range, we're at range low, we swept the range low. I feel like we can move up. And I mean, looking at something like ETH, and by the way, guys, until someone cuts me off, I'll just keep going because I paused and then no one said anything. You can cut me off whenever you guys feel like it. But looking at something like ETH2, I mean, it looks super vulnerable, right? And I think my big hang up with something like ETH is, just generally that like this was pretty clear, like this is kind of a clear level and you're just sitting kind of in no man's land. And until you really kind of reclaim, like, I mean, I would even say like this, I mean, if we wanted to view ETH like a range, you could maybe view it like this and say this is potentially a deviation because like we're just sitting in no man's land. Like there's nothing down here. You're just like in shambles. I mean, you at minimum need to be above like 2150, 2200, but ideally probably a little bit higher, like 2300. And I think if you can do that, then you do open the door to higher, right? And looking at like the weekly chart here, it wouldn't surprise me to see like this weekly order block get hit, 2600 if we can reclaim this level. But we're at like an awkward spot where, I mean, look at like let's go like ultra monthly, right? Here's like a 4-month view, right? Like you have this giant, order block right here, right? Like this 4-month demand, right? So like whatever happened within this block was accumulation. You move up, you're retesting on the monthly, and then I come back and I look at it, on the daily, or even like we'll just go 3-day because it's kind of high time frame, right? We'll change this to demand. I'm looking at this and we kind of are sitting at like monthly demand, right? Like it's awkward because you have this is the awkward part for me is like this whole whatever, like this really throws me off because now it's like we're sitting below it and it's not good. But technically on the monthly time frame, like we're sitting at a spot where it wouldn't surprise. I don't think it should surprise anybody to see a bounce, but it's like you have so much work to do with something like ETH where you need something to, spring you back higher because you're at monthly demand and you have some work to do. Things could start to look really good really quickly if this is all an overblown deviation. Like if this right here, while we're sitting in monthly demand, is, one giant deviation and we end up back in this range, which it's a valid range. Like it looks fine, I mean, it looks bad because we're below it, right? Range high, range low, mid range, a lot of confirmation. If we do end up being up here, things can look pretty good pretty quickly. And then at that point, I would be expecting like up here, which I think was our weekly order block or like a weekly inefficiency or something here. Yeah, there was a weekly level. Like from the breakdown, nice little inefficiency right here. Right. So I don't know, like it looks bad right now, but like I'm just kind of outlining where it could start looking good. And I think where it starts looking good is like 2200, which again, it's 300 points. It's ETH. That's a lot of points right now. But you're at monthly demand. You're floating in no man's land. I would say I'm just kind of looking for like a shift of structure. I'm showing you what I'm looking for to be like locally bullish here. That's all I'm showing you. Like I'm not prophesizing anything. I'm just showing you like what I think it would take. And I think it would be a shift of structure back in the range. And then things can look pretty good pretty quickly. So
yeah. Can we bring up the secret corner comment? And I'm not picking on this person at all. But it's something that you touched on this morning, Max. If anyone sees that comment right there, it says,
where was it? Oh,
yes. So I feel like this is becoming the general rhetoric at this point where, you talked about this, Max, right? Everyone's like in the mindset where like, oh, I'm so tired. I've been doing this for so long. When is this going to end? Like, and I feel like the general sentiment right now is like people are just waiting for one little pump, and they're going to try to just get out as much as they can, thinking that they're going to get out, take advantage of that, and things are going to keep going lower. But I mean, I think that's a great setup for everyone just to sell way too early, right? And I agree with you on that, Max. I just think that people think that they were here for a long time. The market hasn't done what they wanted to do, and that's just going to keep going in one direction, which is down. And I think it's going to cause a lot of people to sell very early, in my opinion, because I think a lot of people have that kind of same mindset, right?
Well,
There's
the
like,
irony in all of it, Louis, is like, all right, so we're clearly in a downtrend. Bears have
yeah,
been right here for like the past 60 days, no question about it, right? I think the ironic part of all of this is like the long only guys, which for the duration of this cycle, I've kind of been a long only guy for better
so
or
have
for
I.
worse.
Yeah,
Some of it my own doing, some of it I've had handcuffs on with certain
yeah,
positions. But Bears have been feasting for 60 days, right? And I think a lot of bulls are just getting completely exhausted. Like, man, I'll post a tweet or something, like a chart, just an idea. And people will like send me hateful messages being like, dude, I cannot believe that you are still bullish. This is unbelievable. Like, when are you going to learn? Like, you need to get out while you still can. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
first of all, relax. It's just an idea. It's just a shit coin. It's not that deep, right? Like they want the optimists so bad to like completely like just like they want them to die. Like they can't stand any inkling of positivity, right? Like it drives them crazy. Anything that is not like a part of the trend, right, is just it makes them sick. They hate it. And the ironic part of all of it is like I actually think we're really early in this cycle. Like I think
yeah,
that here's the thing, the cycle doesn't end during QT, right? The cycle begins once QT stops. And ideally when QE begins, right? So we may really be in for an extended cycle, right? We really
right.
may be. It's possible it's over. I think it's unlikely. But the ironic, I'm going to say it this time. I'm going to finish my thought. The ironic part is that when we finally do get the pump, that like the long only crowd, the Moon Boys have been waiting for this whole time. The ironic part is that a lot of them will be way too exhausted from having to hold for as long as they did that they're actually going to miss it. They're going to
Yeah,
sell at the wrong time. They're going to be skeptical of the pump because the last four have retraced, right? But then when
yep.
it finally hits, the majority will sell too early or will have already sold, right? Oh, the
That's what
next
markets
tap of
do.
4K will reject again. I don't trust it. And then it will actually break to the upside and they won't be there to see it. And that's markets, right?
I don't even think people are going to hold for 4K if we get there. I think they're going to be selling the slightest bit of pump we get back into, 2,300, 2,400, something like that. Uh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But
I still
and,
agree with the sentiment that we're overall very early to this cycle. I think this is an interesting spot specifically because on a technical level, we've reached levels that the market should be holding, or at the very least, kind of beginning to go sideways, right? Like you look at the contextual importance of ETH, historically speaking. I mean, pretty much every big move that ETH has had has kind of come from this inflection point near 1800, dating back to like 2020 and 2021. So from that standpoint, I think it's kind of a put up or shut up level for ETH for a lot of other altcoins, but I don't know how much FOMO I have to allocate. Maybe that's kind of a product of the sentiment. I've obviously been kind of hedging that bias in ways that our Discord knows, but I think at the same time you have an equity market that's not necessarily respecting the rhetoric that's coming from the administration. who are saying, you know, we are going to push disinflationary policies until we get interest rates down. And the equity market's like, we don't believe you. And then it dropped 10%. And they're still saying, we don't believe you. So I don't know. I think it is like an interesting spot, right? I want to start to see strength here and kind of like that decoupling of price from sentiment, because it's like you said, Max, I think sentiment, people do want, there is a lot of negative sentiment in the market. I think there is a very large contingent of market participants that would like to see this market trade significantly lower before potentially putting in a bottom. But I think that's what you want to see, right? Like you want to see price beginning to go sideways while that sentiment continues to get worse.
Yes. Yeah, and especially like you know, I've been saying this for a long time, that like Max has it drawn out beautifully here, right? That green box we're in for ETH. You start getting back above those levels, right? 22, 2300 after dipping this low deep into demand here. That's a significant move, right? That's a significant move, and this down move we had was a significant trap, in my opinion. So I've been telling our guys that, like, look, like if we do come, there's a chance we come down here. If we do, you know, we'll be looking for a big move back out, you know, hope preferably on the quicker side. And if you do reclaim, you know, our pretty much our range that we've been forming the last year and a half, I think that's very significant. And I think we get range highs minimum, right? Which would be 4K. But again, you know, people are probably going to be selling all within that range as we head back up. Right. And like, listen, if you're down really bad on a position that's been literally stressing you out, like affecting your life, and you've been dealing with that over the last 6 months, and selling on that move will, you know, clear your mind, put you back level headed, you know, whatever, rebalancing your books. I don't blame you. Right. But you know, I just have that feeling where the recency of the price action, right, has that recency bias where people are just like, you know, this rally will fail like the others mindset. And if we do start recapturing range lows, 2300, 2200, I think range highs minimum 4K. And then I think ultimately, you know, the big breakout on ETH that we've been waiting for, it's just been kind of prolonged, right? And there's a lot of people talking about, you know, the 4-year cycle being over, which fine. Yeah, it very well may be, right? Markets change. You know, it was very unlikely that we're going to get a 4-year cycle continuously happening the same exact way over and over again when too many people found out about it, right? And also you have to remember we have bigger players in the market, right? We have institutional money in the market with the Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin ETF, ETH ETF, and all these new altcoin ETFs that are being filed. So, I mean, if that's what you need to do, like, I don't blame you, but just be aware that if we are getting back inside the range and start climbing back to the upside, that this will likely be the real move. And this last year and a half of time period was just a massive reaccumulation, right, by big money. And this dip below the range is your kind of your last final big trap, big capitulation by retail, and big accumulation by institutions and smart money. So just keep that in mind, right? Just keep that in mind because that's what markets are going to do to you, right? They're going to test your conviction and your patience and make you believe that whatever your thesis was is not going to happen right before it actually happens, right? That, like, if anyone's ever traded leverage or tried scalping, yeah, you can see it happen on a low time frame every day over and over again, right? So that's kind of where I think we're at. And the sentiment kind of matches that, where everyone's saying, you know, next pump is the exit pump, get out, take your money, run. I think it's the exact opposite. I think this is max value. If you've been holding for the last year and a half, you know, it is what it is. That's what happens when you're early to a move. But I won't be looking to sell into any little pump. Sure, if we start to see a big bounce out of alts and ETH, sure, I'll be reconsidering positions that I have that I'm still holding. Maybe take some chips off the table, let the dust settle, and see where we go from there. But I definitely won't be, you know, pulling all my money out after waiting this long. That's just not how I'm playing this.
I really like the chart that you had there, Max, before with that ETH percentage drop, because I think that visually very nicely outlines the discount we are currently in on I would say the whole market, but obviously this goes for ETH.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few times when, I mean, this is fine. I mean, look, it's like, how far do we want to go back? ETH was $200 over here. I mean, ETH was down to $80 over here. So it's like in recent years, even including COVID, this is quarterly corrections, right?
Yeah.
There's been, 1, 2, 3 that have been a minus 50% or slightly greater correction, from quarterly high to, wick low. So going back to, I mean, this goes back to COVID, right? This is the fourth largest quarterly correction that ETH has had in the past half decade right here. So you are kind of getting into these levels where you say, okay, if there's ever a time to buy, it's got to be it's got to be close, right? Like we got to be here. This is a historic correction for ETH. And
Max,
that's not an
go to-
opinion. We're looking at this and I'm going, this is literally the fourth largest correction besides COVID, the top of last cycle, and when ETH capitulated, into the bear market lows on a wick, right? At like the worst time. So right now what you're seeing is looped in with COVID black swan, the end of last cycle, and the capitulation in the bear market that we never even double bottomed at in June of 2022, and then right now. So it's hard to view this as anything other than a discount unless ETH is literally dead, right? Especially during a bull market. We haven't, for ETH, had a bull market correction this bad yet. We've had some bad ones, right? Like before last cycle started, we had a 30% quarterly correction, right? We've had numerous 30% to even 40%, corrections. But when you get into that minus 50% quarterly correction, it's time to start paying attention, right? We could look at yearly. That might be a little different, right? But year to date, down 50%, right? When you get into this territory over here, I mean, that's interesting, right? I mean, that's discount, So I don't know. I'm like, how much more do we really want to squeeze to the downside here? I mean, what are bears expecting here? Like, unless ETH is completely dead, right? Which there's always a possibility. I just I'm like, what are you waiting for here? Like,
My Chinese whale quant, Max, says meditation March, allocate April. That's his saying that he's been going off of for the last few weeks.
is your quant chimp?
Oh man.
I didn't know chimp was Chinese. That's funny.
He
Sounds like he's from the UK.
It's funny because this guy I saw him joking in a reply thread of tweets yesterday, and somebody was talking about how most people don't actually have that much money looking at these real estate prices. That's real wealth. And he says, not true. I've been trying to offload some of my $5 to $15 million houses in New York City to no avail. Just like the most subtle of flexes. But do you guys have any thoughts on the I don't want to just give like generic commentary on the hyperliquid whale, right? Because obviously CT has done plenty of that. But what do you guys think about the possibility that the hyperliquid whale is linked to one of the ETH Foundation original wallets or to one of the original funders of ETH?
I mean, that sounds illegal, but I don't know.
I mean, it's just one other way for whales to manipulate this market other than spot is through derivatives and options and stuff like that. So
I mean, I kind of have a gut feeling that he's just farming funding, but I haven't done the math on it. Is there a chance he's just arbing funding between Hyperliquid and some other exchange?
He could be. He could just be bearish, though, right? I mean, I think there are so many different explanations for what his motivations are, but what if he's just directionally punting a big short?
He could be.
Let
It's
him.
just tight invalidation. It's risky, but it's possible.
I really have no alpha on that on me. I just think the market's kinda, or like the market participants on CT are kinda depressed or bored and probably have nothing better to do than discussing this short or
Agree with
whatever,
that.
because like these have been happening all year long. Like you always have someone with a big size being long or short. I do not know why it caught that much attention, apart from the fact that I suppose, it's the only interesting thing to discuss for lots of people.
That
I mean,
is
it's
typically
huge
what you would
size.
hope to see from a bottom, a market
Yeah.
being that bored that they have to fixate on the positioning of other the positioning of other men in the market.
That's always a thing, I feel like.
Can you guys estimate how many people are like basing their position based of that information?
Dude, so many people are mirroring, like they're copy trading the guy. People are like, I'm trailing the whale. He knows something, which I guess is not a horrible strategy to find, like,
I think it's a
wallets that are
horrible
good at
strategy.
trading and
Oh,
copy
yeah.
trade them. But
Yeah, like if you can find some secret one, but I suppose, I'm not sure if that can work very long term unless you are good at like flipping those wallets, because usually when some wallet gets found out to some degree, they just flip it to a new one, and then it's kind of hard to find a new one too. I don't know. I don't think this is a viable strategy to have, basing your positioning based on some wallet, what it's doing, because you do not know, right? Like, again, you cannot know if it's just arbitraging or if it's collecting funding, or whether that's just fucking exchange sending money to a CT guy who is showing his positions to attract the newbies to their platform. Like, I do not think this is the case, but you essentially do not know. So yeah.
Tommy, what do you think it is?
I saw somebody. I don't know if you guys remember on Market Check, I speculated like last year that Vitalik could be a big part of this huge short interest on ETH suppressing price. My tinfoil hat remains on. I don't know if that's necessarily my explanation for it, but it wouldn't shock me either if I had to make a guess.
Would you bet money that it's Vitalik?
I don't know if I would bet on it being Vitalik, but some like ancient ETH whale that's unhappy with what's happened on the chain, maybe.
He could just be sending a message. So he's either just super bared up, some ETH insider, or Vitalik.
Sounds like it.
Or it's just some guy who's rich and is just like trying to stress everybody out.
Just messing around with everybody. I don't know if you guys saw, he also he longed Melania yesterday, and it caused a big pump on that token. So I'm sure that there's just a bunch of screwing around there. But he seems like he's got unlimited collateral. They tried to liquidate him, and he just very easily bridged another 50 or 60 million over to the exchange.
Dude, that's crazy to have that kind of money. Who is that? That's unbelievable.
It was also on a weekend too. Like, it could just be, like not a lot of action happens on the weekends,
Like,
especially
who's sitting there on their weekend, like taking a $500 million short position. Like, that
was Eric
Trump.
He was laughing at TradFi for not trading on weekend, and he said, "You guys need to learn how to do it." Or maybe someone took that to the debate, and he was like, "All right, I'll show you how it's done on the weekend."
I think it was Tommy. He's acting kind of weird, honestly. He's like, like it's the way he said maybe bro is just bearish. I'm like, that sounds like Tommy's trying to tell you it was him.
I
And he
secretly
didn't
have half a
disclose the
billion.
Chinese quant either.
Tommy, if you secretly had $500 million, bro, and you didn't tell me this whole time, we might have a separate discussion. I'll be like, bro, how did you not pump Andy for me? What the hell's wrong?
No,
with
I
you?
know.
Just throw like 20 mil at it just for me. We're boys. But whatever.
We
Maybe
did
bro's
get a
just
super chat,
bearish.
by the way, guys. I don't wanna ignore the super chat from day one market check enjoyer, Kansas City Chief Chris Jones.
Hey, it's me hogging. Oh, it's me hogging the super chats again. Talking about BNB ETH last week. Look at the Louis meat stick cake BNB beta is putting today. Let's look at BNB ETH real quick. Why not, right? To be fair, anything against ETH looks good, so we have to kind of consider that. But I mean, that is a bullish looking chart on the weekly.
Very bullish.
I think this is kind of a place where you want to take profits, though. On this
Could
chart.
be. I mean, if we view this as like a range, you know. I don't know. I mean, you could probably milk it a little bit and be like, all right, this is either an awesome breakout coming, and just if you end up losing the range high, then cut it, you know, or just swap to ETH then. If you get back under the range high, you could probably milk it a little bit, take some risk, but I mean, it's strong, you know.
What's Cake doing? Now, what is that? That's like the main DEX on BNB, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
I think it's pancake swap, right? It's like kind of looks like a clean accumulation, not gonna lie.
I think interesting chart is if you go on Cake BTC chart.
Cake
It's like
BTC.
Yeah.
It looks like ETH.
Why do you guys always type the pair there instead of putting the actual tradable pair?
Oh, I didn't know there was a tradable pair.
There is for most on Binance.
I don't get to trade on Binance, remember, because I'm from the US, so I'm not familiar with it.
I've noticed, I suppose
I've never been on
sense.
Binance before. I'm not allowed, so I don't like most exchanges here in the like. You don't have that on like Coinbase. You know, you wouldn't have like shitcoin BTC.
Only time I was on
Back in the
real
day,
Binance.
shitcoin BTC pairs were like the only alpha everyone looked at.
I feel like that alpha is coming back though, Jackus, because so many altcoins have underperformed Bitcoin, or at the very least, like alt BTC pairs have probably given you the perfect exit points for a lot of these narratives over the last 2 or 3 years. I feel like the relevance is coming back, personally. But do you guys think that things like BNB and the BSC ecosystem are going to benefit from all of the stimulus that we're seeing in China right now?
I do not know, because maybe like I feel like CZ wants to make a comeback of Binance US, and if that goes through, then I do not know, honestly. But still keep in mind that Binance still is 55%. They hold 55% of the market share as last as I checked. So they are still the most prevalent player in the market. I think second is Bybit with like 20 to 25. And then it's, I think, Bitget. And in US, it's Coinbase on the third place.
I don't think that Binance coins would move independently of the broader crypto market just because China's stimulating.
Yeah.
I think if the crypto asset class is demanding that the US loosen monetary policy before it starts ripping, then you probably wouldn't see like, you know, Asia coins just moving independently. Like I think it will be a situation where the entire market pumps together. Because I mean, you can get little moves, but I mean, I'm talking like a sustained move. Like I wouldn't imagine BNB and like Binance coins just like pulling 4, 5, 6x's, and Bitcoin is like stuck below range low here. You know, I think personally, I find that hard to believe, where I think Chinese stocks can move without US equities, certainly. But it seems as though the crypto asset class has determined that the only loose monetary policy that they care about comes from the US at this point. But maybe that changes. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I think I don't think they're gonna outperform against like broader crypto market weakness if that's gonna be the regime that we're in. But I do think if we start to see liquidity come back into crypto more meaningfully, BSC is kind of like an obvious beneficiary, because we look at, you know, where is most of the fiscal stimulus coming from right at this moment? It is China. And we always like to joke about the GCR prophecies. He's another one that said the next bull market will come from China. So I think, you know, what other Chinese coins are there in the market? The most obvious one is BNB, just kind of given that's where it's based. BSC has a lot of activity specifically coming from Asia. So I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
That leads me to one we discussed over the, I think it was on Thursday, on our fun discussion, if you remember, Tommy. Not want to share it publicly just yet, but if you remember, one coin starting with C.
I think I do. I was should know it.
I'll
I know.
remind you
I think
after.
I know what you're talking about, Jackus.
So what is it going to be, guys? BTC up or BTC down from here? We've kind of been stuck here for the past few days.
So we're in a downtrend, right? Like we're full on risk off, like no question. It's just for me, like I'm looking at this right here. Like there's supply overhead, but it wouldn't surprise me to see like a big at minimum counter trend rally, you know, like something up in here for a few weeks. And then if we need to visit lower, we can talk about what that would look like. You know, like I see the level, but like it wouldn't surprise me to literally see like this, you know, like that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, I hope we don't do that, right? I hope we just run it back, but I'm just saying, like, we've been going down pretty aggressively for a while. We've been risk off for a while. I'm really not counting the 1 day Sunday pump as like a real counter trend rally. I mean, it happened, but I don't know. For me, it just kind of seems like it would make a lot more sense to put in a move up. So I'm leaning towards up here locally, right? And I know if Bitcoin goes back to 82K before FOMC, everyone's be like, he's still so bullish. He just can't be bearish. Like, wow, like another wrong call. And it's like, man, study swing trading. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm expecting a counter trend rally, you know? I'm not talking over like 24 hours, right? But like, I think we can float up into the end of the month unless we get a horrible FOMC. Just given where Bitcoin is at, given where ETH is at, it wouldn't surprise me, even if it's a short covering rally. I think we can float higher, personally. Volume Fusion Pro, you wouldn't get it. And you won't get it. That's the thing, is you won't. You wouldn't get it and you won't.
I think it's a really big week.
Boy.
Big week.
No, I do. I think it's a really big week. We have the expiration, which obviously kind of allows equity volatility to move a little bit more freely tomorrow. I think that's a really important date. You have supportive flows for equities kind of coming in to that date. But then you've got March OPEX on Friday. So I'm going to be watching very, very closely. If we are still floating higher into Friday, then I think we're set up for a multi-week rally. If you see weakness or dumping into Friday, then I think that things like March OPEX can exacerbate the existing trend.
Something like this.
I like that, Jackus.
I could see. But these levels, big levels, good levels, fear levels, liquidation levels, I like these levels, buy those levels. Not financial advice.
Yeah, I think we can move, guys. I do. I mean, check week, big week for sure. But I mean, typically markets will bottom, or like at least crypto will bottom like, you know, a week before FOMC. That's not uncommon. So again, I've been saying this for a week now. Like, I am playing this as just a range. I'm just treating this as a range. We were in a range up here. We marked down, we have new range. It's usually not great business to be like shorting into range low, especially when you get confirmation from this sweep right here. Like, we had the nuke, we had the Trump squeeze. I think we were going to move anyways, maybe not this high, but we were going to move. Sweep the range low. You get confirmation that like this is a level. I feel like it's generally not great business to be shorting the lower region of a range, right? You can say to me, yeah, Max, like I actually think that we're stuck under here for the foreseeable future. And me personally, I'm looking to short this, and that's fine. You like, I don't care. I'm just saying, like, on a higher-ish time frame, we're in a range. We have FOMC coming. Where's the potential positional unwind when you get you know, like a volume generation event like an FOMC? Where's the positional unwind? Is it too many people aggressively longing, you know, after a 30% correction on Bitcoin? Or is it people aggressively shorting? I feel like there's probably a better chance of a positional upwind or positional unwind and squeeze to the upside, personally, just given how battered and bruised things are, right? But that's just me, right? That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, again, people shouldn't overcomplicate it. You have minus 30% discount on Bitcoin during a macro bull market. While this drop wasn't a specific drop for crypto, but rather a broader risk on market drop. So unless we are truly heading into some crazy recession, which I currently am not seeing so, then this dip should be viewed as a big opportunity. And I know this, you know, like people who have been in memes only all in that are down minus 90%. This is not exactly what they want to hear, as they do not have a side capital. But in general, for people that have not been in that position or you know, have been playing it in a slightly better way, or even if they are in that position, I again do not think that this is a time to be short, and the risk is again turning to the upside. Again, keep it simple, guys. Minus 30% drop. We have only seen that once this bull market, and we know that just as there are diminishing returns on the upside, they are diminishing downsides too. So how much lower can you go to remain higher time frame bullish, right?
Pablo, can you go? Can you go all the flow? Can you bring it to the top? You never stop.
Where did that come from?
First thing I thought of. Yeah. I mean,
Plus,
I've been adding as much as I can down here after literally being already fully exposed, because at least we're going to get at minimum a mean reversion bounce. So
the only problem I currently face is that not that much crypto looks good. Like I like the discounts all around, but I'm not seeing many that I would like to bid apart from like stuff like Bitcoin or XRP as of right now. Few others maybe, but like in general, that's kind of a tough situation. But that can get solved in a few weeks potentially.
I think Pepe looks good here, man. I really do.
it's been strong.
I think we're
Been
getting
strong
ready
coming
for
out.
some upside for Pepe, man.
Yep. And added to Pepe early last week. Those are a nice profit. Added to Andy early last week. Those are a nice profit. And I added to another boys club this morning that I'm about to let the Discord know. But they look really good. They're sitting at big levels after getting beaten down.
Buyers are stepping in here, man. And by the way, we've seen Pepe do this before. When there's a counter trend rally brewing, is Pepe will kind of churn and chop its way to the upside a little bit. And here, I'll show you what I mean. Like, let's do ETH down here. And I know a lot of people are like, how could you even consider buying risk when we're entering the greatest global recession that we've ever seen before? Like, everything is collapsing.
Sounds like 2022.
How could you even consider buying risk down here? It's way too risky. Okay. ETH was in a range here. And this range, from range low to range high, 16% roughly, depending on, I'm not being super precise, but 15 to 16%. That was the percentage of the range low to high. Okay. During that same period of time, Pepe that got battered and bruised because ETH dropped. Pepe during that same period of time had a tremendous rally. This was the wick low. Pepe rallied 195% during that same period of time from its capitulation wick low, which again is the same low that ETH had right here on April 13th. Okay. April 13th low. ETH was in a 15% range. Pepe went up 200%. Okay. Nothing has changed here. I genuinely think that ETH could put in it could put in a squeeze to like right here, which is not even crazy, right? It's like this underside supply retest and the Trump pump wick high. And you could literally see Pepe from the low put in like a 200% move. Just if ETH rallied up to here, which I know seems impossible right now, but it's not, right? Like it's not. Could ETH from right here rally 30% after being down over 50% quarter to date? That's literally ETH only going to 2,600. Like, I know it seems crazy now because of recency bias, but like that's not a big move. It's not at all. And at the same time, we also have some technical confluence up here. I want this monthly naked point of control to get tagged right here from the shoulder. That monthly shoulder will be tagged 158, 200% move, just like over here. ETH in a range. ETH barely moves. Pepe 200%. They will study the shoulder. Okay, they will study the shoulder. If ETH goes to 2,500, which again, I genuinely think is not even a crazy thing to say. It's not crazy. You will see Pepe literally rip 200% from the wick low. And then from there, we can reassess and talk about it. Okay. But genuinely, I think if you just saw ETH move to 2,500, Pepe is literally going 200% from its wick low. So me personally, and I dropped a video on this last week. I was talking about this when Pepe was 15% lower. And there's a lot of confluence, by the way. There's a lot of confluence in the Pepe pairs. Let me show you something. For those that didn't watch my video. For those that didn't want to watch the video. Here's Pepe Doge. Look at the range. Perfect sweep of the range low. Look at what we're doing. Maybe it doesn't go quite like this, but this is a bullish looking setup. Similar to what happened over here. Pepe Doge, which is the ETH BTC of meme charts. Okay. How about Pepe ETH? Swept its range low, looking bullish. These are bullish looking charts. The Pepe pair charts are starting to tell you what's about to happen. BTC pair, it looks bullish here in my opinion. I'm not expecting too much, but I mean, could we get a retest of like this level? Yeah, that's a huge move on the pair. That's a 40% move on Pepe BTC. So BTC moves up. I mean, think about what happens, right? I mean, let's look at Pepe others. Look at this level it's retesting. I think it's going to hold here. I think this looks bullish as well. Retesting the top part of this this previous demand. Demand, move up, retest, deviation in. The trend line is playing. I mean, these charts can move up hard and still be down from their highs, right? Like we could see this chart right here. Let's look at like the weekly. I mean, you could literally see this thing move up, Pepe others. I mean, you could see this thing move up to right here. And that's a huge, huge, huge move, right? Like you don't need to be calling for all-time highs quite yet, but Pepe others, 30% move, or how about this little gap right here? How about that? 50% move, fill in the gap on the chart? Yeah, give me that. 100% give me that. I'll take that. So I'm just saying, like, I'm seeing some things that like tip me off a little bit. Not that the bull market is going to like rip to new highs imminently. I mean, maybe, but I think we could see some big counter trend rallies here. I do. I really think we could see some counter trend rallies. We got FOMC this week. It's going to be volatile, but some of these pair charts are telling me that they're waking up, right? And we've seen them wake up in the past. Like, look at, here's the Pepe chart, okay? I'm going to put this in. Okay. When Pepe Doge starts moving up, and guys, I made a super extensive video on this, 2 of them last week on this. So if you want like more granular details, I went over everything, okay? Look at when these charts start to break up, what happens? They typically will lead a little bit of what's happening with the USD pairs. Like you'll get the signal a little bit in advance, right? And even like a counter trend rally. Look at this, the Pepe Doge pair, falling pattern. You break out, big move on the USD pair. I mean, on this one, well, we were still in the bear market. You got 115% move to the high, 134, to the other high right here, 181. Huge move just on this pair telling you it's about to happen. I mean, look what happened early last year for Pepe, right? Here's Pepe USD down below. Pepe Doge breaks up. Look what happens to Pepe USD. How about a counter trend rally, right? How about this one? Let's go to the 12-hour. How about this guy? Falling pattern, connect the 2 highs. Starts breaking out, right? Where does it break out? Right here. Pepe Doge breaks out right here. And then look what happened to Pepe USD. That was that 200% move we were talking about. What's going on right now? I'm seeing a bullish pattern starting to form. Early stages of it. Certainly early stages of it. But I'm seeing a bullish pattern starting to form here where we got a nice range. We got a diagonal trend line. We got mid-range, clean levels. So it's early to be calling this. But I'm saying I'm starting to see I'm starting to see the tides shift just a little bit. Okay. Some of the pairs are starting to wake up, and we're starting to see buyers step in a little bit here on some of these battered down blue chip alts like Pepe. So I'm just saying, it's a little early to call this. I should, if I cared about people trolling me online, I would be waiting until I had 100% confirmation of the Doge pair breaking out and the ETH pair breaking out and the others pair breaking out and the dominance pairs breaking out. I'd be waiting just maybe like a week or two. I don't really care. I don't care. I'm just sharing what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing things start to shift just enough. Just enough. All right. So it's so easy to just be like, oh, I'm down bad. Let's just get bearish. That's not swing trading, guys. That's not how you swing trade. Like, I'm holding these positions for like, I mean, I've been holding my Pepe for like, I mean, well over a year now at this point, through multiple 50, 60, 70% corrections, adding along the way, you know? Like, it's a different game, you know? And then the chart, then price pumps. Oh, he's a genius. Price corrects, but we're still in a bull market. Oh, he's always wrong. What are you talking about? Don't need your judgment. I don't need your commentary. I know what I'm doing here. I know the game I'm playing here,
It's because people are judging you based on the time frame they are operating on, but not the time frame you are operating on.
Exactly. It's 100% right.
Somebody made that comment, I think it was last week, that crypto Twitter is just a bunch of people operating on different timelines, arguing with each other.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it is. So
don't you love it when a 1 minute trader that's have some directional position on 1 minute chart is trying to tell you how you are right or wrong when you are like on the weekly, monthly?
crazy, bro. I just don't care, man. They can say whatever the hell they want to say. I'm just like, I've been doing and providing and sharing public analysis on like pair charts like this that have been giving me high time frame signal for swing trading and have overwhelmingly put me on the right side of this market for a long time. Yes, I have to hold through some horrible events like as of recently. And yes, they make me question everything. But I trust my systems. I trust my processes. They've worked for me. They've put me in a really good position. And it's like a bad 60-day period in the market doesn't change a multi-year swing trade. Not at all. Right? But they want, they want to see you give up. They want to see you quit. They want to see you ditch your systems, They operate on different time frames. I'm looking at this, man, like I don't think it's over. I think we're about to run this thing back. Might be a little bit more turbulence. Like I'm telling you again right here, for the record, it's early to be saying this. I should be waiting maybe like another week or 10 days to tell you guys what I'm seeing because I could wait for confirmation and play it safe. I don't really care. I'm just here talking about what I'm seeing. Last time Pepe Doge looked like this was Q1 of last year. I'm not suggesting it's about to imminently 10x, but I'm suggesting that there is some upside that I'm prospecting here in a big way. Some much needed relief. The pairs look good. And the pairs were the reason I initially took my positions. It's all about the pairs. It's all about the pairs. I like it here. I like it. I think I have reason to be optimistic here. Like, is it a coincidence, guys? Is it a coincidence that Pepe Doge came back and perfectly swept this range low and then got an immediate reaction? Like, is it a coincidence? It's not a coincidence. I'm telling you, like, if we can move up and flip this mid-range and this diagonal trend line, you're going to see it move up hard. It's the same thing that happened over here. See the mid-range and the diagonal. There's your diagonal. There's your mid-range. You can flip your mid-range and your diagonal, you're going to get a big move. So again, it's early. but I'm seeing reasons to be optimistic here. That's all I'm saying. It is what it is.
I know you've also been prospecting Trump, Max. I see we've got some comments asking for it. It's kind of a coin I can't seem to put a finger on as far as what I expect from it. But I do know they've got unlocks in April. I know there's always that constant debate about whether or not unlocks are bullish or bearish.
So I am prospecting Trump. I was going to make a video on it, but I'll just do it here instead. The reason I'm prospecting Trump is because it's the crime cycle. Now, I put out a feeler on X. I posted a tweet on X over the weekend, and I was like, I don't think that this story ends with a perpetual bleed. I actually think they're going to run this thing back. I had nothing but hate and negative comments, man. I did it intentional because I wanted to see how people were feeling about Trump, like the coin. And they were like, oh my goodness, like how could you ever buy something like that? What's wrong with you? You've lost all credibility. No, thank you. Blah, 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 blah. Just like so like a visceral, raw anger, fueled aggression, right? Just like from their core, the amount of hatred. And I'm just like, man, like this is just crazy, man. Like the emotions that people have and like how they just so desperately it's like misery loves company, where like they're angry about something and they're like, somebody is happy about something. No, they must join me in how I'm feeling. Like, let me try to change them. It's so freakish. But anyways, it's just a shit coin, guys. It's just a shit coin. It's a bunch of code with a name, and it's just a shit coin. It doesn't need to make anybody angry. Okay, it's just a shit coin. All right. Now, right here on my chart, right here, April 15th, there is a 4% supply unlock on Trump coin. I don't remember who it is. I could find it later. Actually, let me pull it up real quick. Okay. Part of it goes to the creators and some group, CIC Digital. Okay. They must be like investors in it or something like that. Okay. Basically 4%. Oh, wait, hang on. 4% of max supply. Okay. So 40 million tokens. 40 million tokens are going to get unlocked on, it's April 18th. Okay. On April 18th. So I got to move this a little bit. April 18th, 4% of the supply is getting unlocked right here. Also, 3 days before that is US tax day. All right. So unless you're filing an extension or you have like a weird circumstance, you owe some taxes on the 15th if you're in the US. Now, I have a thesis that if this is the crime cycle, these guys can move the market, and there's about to be a giant unlock, which, by the way, a 4% unlock on Trump is like a 20%, of the current circulating supply ratio, because only 20% of the coin is actually circulating right now. It's a huge unlock. So this entity is about to get 4% of the supply within a month. And it's coming right around tax day. I have a feeling that they're going to try to make this thing pump into tax day and the 4% unlock. Why would they not? It is perfectly aligned with their interests to do so. So I have a theory that I'm looking at this chart and I'm going, all right, this right here it's a meme coin that's a trader's coin. It's got crazy beta. Whenever the market pumps, it goes crazy, right? It does trade cleanly. It's a trader's coin. You can call it the tokenomics are broken. You can talk shit about it. You can hate Trump. I don't care. I'm just looking at the coin. It went down 87%. Now, at the same time, we can look at something like Pepe and say, all right, Pepe was a trader's coin too. From its initial pump, it also went down the same exact percentage from the initial parabolic pump to the bottom. 87%. Right here. So they both went down 87% from their initial parabolic pumps. All I'm looking for is for a little bit of crime on this chart. All I'm looking for is that there's a huge unlock coming and tax day is coming. And they've got a chart here that they know if they get it pumping, people are going to pile in and trade the crap out of it. And they have 30 days to do so. Is it too crazy to think that we could get a move off the floor like this into unlocks and into tax day? I don't think so. It doesn't have to happen, but again, it's just another thesis. It's just a theory, right? That's all I'm saying, is that there are some people who stand to make hundreds of millions of dollars if they can get this thing pumped in the next 30 days. And they happen to be aligned with the most powerful man in the world. So I'm looking at this going, you know what? If my interests are aligned with those people's for 30 days, probably not the worst bet in the world to make, right? Just saying. How do I make my chart rainbow like that? This is a free indicator that I made right here. It's a free indicator. I put it on my X account. You guys can use it if you would like. I will copy paste the link for you. I'll copy paste the link for you in the chat. I made it for free as a tool for everybody to use if you would like to do so. So here is this indicator. I think that's it. Yep, that should be the link to the trading view. You can do cool things like this. You can do, here, I'll show you on the Pepe chart. You can do, this is just all-time high retracement, right? So it'll show you percentages, percentage pullbacks. You could also do something like this where, you can do it from quarterly. All right, this is the biggest, quarter to date. Pepe's down, 70%, right? And then how about monthly? Monthly, Pepe, it went down here 47%, right? So you can see on all these different time frames, how is Pepe moving around, its all-time highs and its pullbacks, right? So it's a cool, useful tool to visualize, corrections and help keep emotions out of it. And you guys can use it for free. I made it. It's on TradingView. You should have the link. So yeah. But anyways, that's my thesis with Trump in a nutshell. I've got some pairs for it as well that I think look good. Like I was just talking to you guys about Pepe, and I think that Pepe can move up here. And, looking at the Trump Pepe pair, this is the Trump Pepe pair. It's sitting in a range right here. Like this to me looks pretty floored out. This is Trump Pepe. Over the next 30 days, could we see Trump Pepe rip to range highs if they decide they're going to do a little bit of crime and pump it into unlocks? I mean, it's sitting at range low right here. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, maybe it breaks down, but if I think Pepe is going to move and I'm looking at Trump Pepe and I know that they have unlocks coming, there might be a big squeeze coming on Trump or something like that. Just saying. What about Andy and Wolf? Just Pepe on steroids. If Pepe moves up here, they're going to move up more. I don't even need to analyze Andy. I don't need to look at Andy and Wolf. It's just Pepe on steroids. Yeah. I'll make a video on it this week. I promise. I'll make a video on Andy and Wolf this week. I'll post it somewhere. But yeah, anyways, here's Trump Pepe. So like, I don't know. I think we can move up. I mean, look, we got FOMC. It's going to be choppy, but I think we can move up. I do. I really do.
I could see Trump doing something like what Sui did coming out of the bear market, where it just kind of bled for a while and then eventually had a big reversal, kind of more back in like 2023 into 2024, that first move higher. I kind of think we could see something like that from Trump coin. But I do think eventually you're going to see it make new all-time highs.
So let's look at, yeah, this was a kind of similar. So where was like the first exchange to list Sui? Would it be MEXC or something? Coinbase. No, who was the first to list Sui? Bobby would know, but
It's probably Binance. I mean, I'm sure they kind of all listed it around the same time, if I had to guess.
like
It was a total VC scam when it got launched. I remember the FDV was like insane.
mhm. I mean, just looking at this, right? It's like it's got that same kind of bleed from all-time high down, 70 to 80%. Can run this stuff back. Buying something that's gonna, that's like strong or has a narrative or a catalyst and it's down 70, 80%. Like, take that, man. Take that.
That's what investing's all about.
But everybody wants you to just be like negative and like just, oh, everything sucks. The cycle's over. It's done. There's nothing to be excited about. I'm not even talking about this one yet. Don't even get me started, man. So excited about this one, but I'm not ready to talk about that yet. When the time comes, I don't know. I think we're bullish here, man. I do. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a great opportunity to get into an asset class that's sitting at extremely cheap valuations. That's all it is. But a lot of
100%.
people aren't looking at it like that because they were here early, right? When you're here early, everyone thinks being early to a trade is all glorified, and it's like you just experience up only. You got an early entry, But being early to a trade means a lot of the time you kind of have to sit through extended periods of drawdown or extended periods of whole lot of nothing. But ultimately, when prices do swing one way or the other, you're sitting company in your early position, but it came at a cost. Right? And that's literally been kind of my whole experience with crypto for the last 8-9 years. Is I came in 2018, like in the basically top of the bull market, and ever since then, about 75% of the time, crypto is either sideways to down, and then you get that 25% of the time where it's absolutely ripping face. So most of my time in crypto has been drawdown, downside, or sideways chop, never ending rallies, just constantly getting sold off. And then ultimately that stops, right? That eventually stops. So, I mean, I'm super comfy in these environments. And when we get environments like to the extreme, like we've seen over the last couple of weeks, I do whatever I can to get more exposure, right? I do whatever I can. And that's how I look at things as far as like a longer term swing trader. I play these similar to Max, right? I'm not trading in and out. Sure, there's certain plays and stuff where I treat with shorter term horizons, but longer term, like my bags are positioned for years. This is a multi-year swing trade at a minimum. So I mean, these cheap prices are nothing but discounts, right? Or another opportunity to get exposure to stuff that was up 200, 300, 400% higher than we sit today, right? Because when the assets that are down 60, 70, 80% were at the highs just a few months ago, I'm sure everyone was saying, damn, I wish I got in early and had these low entries. Well, here it is. We're here, right? Your low, your super low, high value entries are never going to feel like high value, right? It's going to be scary. It's going to be a lot of unknown factors. There's going to be a lot of FOMO. There's going to be a lot of macroeconomic stuff going on. It's always going to be like that, right? And you just got to get comfortable in buying in these environments when no one wants to buy, right? That's kind of how you secure super low entries in this market, right? Like Andy's sitting at levels I was first buying almost a year ago, right? Guess what? We're at the same level we were a year ago, a year and a half ago. I'm buying more. If I liked it at this price a year and a half ago, why wouldn't I like it at these prices now?
Andy printing its first buy signal since going risk off December 18th. Just saying.
Yep. I mean, we're at range lows. I was telling people in Discord, yeah, I'm buying Andy here. Like, you're buying Andy here? Yeah, we're at range lows. That's when you buy. Sure, I should have done better at selling range highs, right? I'll admit I'm not perfect, but I'm not the best at selling high, but I'm damn good at buying low. That's for sure. I love these environments. When people like Trump coin, that's something I've been accumulating a pretty decent sized position in over the last couple weeks, month, right? Because no one wants to touch it. Everyone loved it 2 months ago, right?
You say
Everyone loved
Trump
it.
coin, Louis?
Yeah.
Dude,
Everyone
people were
loved
hating on me so hard for
Yeah.
even mentioning it, man.
Everyone loved the Trump coin
Yeah.
a month and a half ago, right? It was going to be the next best performing meme coin, right? When it launched and it just went straight up. But now that it's experienced 70 to 80% drawdown after its launch, it's a scam, right? He just pumped and dumped on us, right? This thing's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, that's when I step in and buy, right? When no one wants to touch it. When everyone says, markets aren't, this isn't going to go back up, right? That's where I like to do my business.
We're going to run this thing back in a big way, bro. That's it.
Yeah, I bought some of this today.
Wolf?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
Wolf is
even just for a little trade, right? You can get 100 to 200% move on this on easy levels, right? That are easily going to be reached just on a little mean reversion bounce.
like bro,
there's opportunity, there's trades to be had.
Even like this, Louis, right here.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna move, bro. Like it's just,
but most will be likely chasing that move because they don't want to buy when things are the way they are right now, So
first buy signal on Wolf since going risk off December 18th.
Yeah. Yep. Do what you will.
It's time to end the show. Tommy?
That's a good spot to wrap things up. Happy Monday cook session to you all. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, of course, we have some opportunities for you to potentially add some tools to your trade and even join the family, hear more from the analysts on the panel on a daily basis, right? Starting with the Discord, we give 4 to 5 hours of calls every single day. That is not an exaggeration. We take a lot of pride in the amount of cooking we do for our subscribers. You can get access to our intimate thoughts on the market in real time. And of course, at times, even our positioning. So make sure to check out our Discord, which we were nice enough to package at a discounted rate with your go-to tool for this cycle, guys, BB Terminal. Come check out an awesome product, whether or not you are a long-term investor, whether or not you are an active trader, and soon, whether or not you are an on-chain degen, we've got the tool for you. I mean, we just continue to build out more and more functionality with the BB Terminal. I think if you have not already used it, you are missing out. And you will increasingly be missing out, especially if those prices end up getting raised, because again, we are increasing the functionality for the BB Terminal every day. Devs are doing something. Let's just say. But yeah, check these two fantastic products out, guys. In addition to, if you are looking to hone your educational base or even reach trading level mastery, we have the BB Academy, where you can learn from the entire Because Bitcoin team how we approach markets, how we analyze them, and even how we trade them. Last but certainly not least, maybe this market volatility is getting to you in a way where, I mean, a lot of people, like, let's be honest, Louis pointed it out, a lot of people say all the time how much they want to just get out of this market, forget about it. We have a solution for you as well. It enables the team to manage capital for you. We have an SEC registered hedge fund that looks to manage digital assets in a way that captures their asymmetric history for upside returns while also balancing the downside risk posed in any financial market. But if anything that I just said over the last 90 seconds resonated with you, we have everything linked in the description below. So make sure to check that out before you head out. But lastly, before we can officially wrap up the stream, guys, Market Check will be back for another episode tomorrow. We are live every Monday through Friday whenever the New York Stock Exchange is open, with a typical start time around 11 to 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, make sure to check out Wabi's show, Market Talk, hosted through the Because Bitcoin X account, Wabi does a great job hosting those shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure to stay following and subscribe to both Because Bitcoin on X as well as Wabi's account, so you can be notified not just when he scheduled those spaces, but also when they go live. But that's it from us, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the show today. I think it was a good way to start out a big week, admittedly. Some macro events, coins at big levels, assets at big levels. We will see what we get. But thanks again for tuning in, as always, guys. And of course, stay safe.